Welcome to Live with Big Boy, Day 2. We have another special guest.
It's not another. It's the same one.
Mark Minger.
Well, hey, thank you for having me back. I appreciate it. I went home and I slept on it last night, and man, I love this. We need to do this every single solitary time. Like, we just need to team up.
But my question for you, is it amazing how easy this is to do?
It is. It's so fun. And I thank you from the bottom of my heart for having me back again for day number 2 of this.
You know what, everybody out there, you can do this yourself. All you gotta do is go to your app world and download the app called Anchor. Easy to use. It's fun. You can add, edit. You can even share it with people and have people to join you on the podcast. It's easy to do. But what we're going to talk about today, still hang on to the coattails of the coronavirus. But what's really got me going is the sports world. How's it affecting the sports world? And that's what's
the sports world. You know, and I know Trump just came out the other day and said he had a message he sat down with Vince McMahon. He sat down with whoever's in charge of NASCAR. He had Major League Soccer. He had Roger Goodell. He had the commissioner of baseball, the commissioner of basketball. He had them all sitting there on a phone conversation, and they were trying to do what they can to get the sports world back. And I know he told Roger Goodell right now, do not do anything. Do not jump to conclusions. Keep football on schedule.
Well, we need something. You know, with everything going on, like I told you about this. I watched that episode of a little snippet of SmackDown. It had Stone Cold Steve Austin declaring March 16th as Stone Cold Day.
Oh, 3/16 day.
Yeah. And I was trying to watch it, and it just did not grab me because it was like nobody there. The excitement wasn't there. It just felt like the whole essence was gone. I mean,
oh, absolutely.
And they try to make it funny, but it was like, I didn't even watch WrestleMania because I was like, you know what? I'm not watching WrestleMania. They try to make it all fun. It's not fun when you can't enjoy it.
And that's the thing. When it comes to the sports world, sometimes you need fans like us. Other times you don't. Like, you love your football team with a passion. You love your baseball team. You love your basketball team with a passion. You don't care what anybody else thinks. You don't care if the fans are cheering or not. You just want to see them win. But when it comes to something that's scripted like wrestling, you have to have that fan interaction or it ain't nothing.
Right. I mean, there's some things that you can do out there that you don't necessarily have to have fans because it's all about skills. You know, basketball, football, racing, but something, like you said, that has a script. You need that excitement out there for people to go,
Well, with their scripted monologue when they're out there talking trash, you need those fan interactions or it ain't nothing.
So, Mark, you brought to the table a report or a research documentation.
Oh, because we're talking about sports. Because we're talking about sports. Let me get comfy. Because we're talking about something I know, something I love that's near and dear to my heart.
So, I can tell it's a pretty lengthy investigational subject matter you have here, but I want you to explain to us, number 1, who is Gardner Minshew? Number 2, what's he do? Number 3, why is he so special to you?
Well, let me tell you something. First off, Gardner Minshew, as of now, is the face that runs the place in Jacksonville, Florida. Gardner Minshew was drafted last year as a 6th-round quarterback. He was a backup. He was a nobody. You don't draft a quarterback in the 6th round thinking they're going to be anything. And we went out and we signed this living legend, this big guy, this man named Nick Foles, who just came off of a Super Bowl victory, Super Bowl MVP for the Philadelphia Eagles. We went out, we got him. This is our year that he's going to lead us. He's going to take the chances. And you know what? There really wasn't a market for Nick Foles in free agency.
Now, correct me if I'm wrong, because you are a diehard Jacksonville fan, but it's been a long time since Jacksonville really had a strong quarterback.
Well, I don't know if I would say a strong quarterback, because we had Blake Bortles, who
strong.
just 2 years prior had taken us to the AFC Championship, which we lost, not by his doing, but by the fact that Miles Jack wasn't down on a replay in Foxborough, where he had picked up a fumble and ran it back for a touchdown, which would have had sent us to the Super Bowl.
Let me rephrase that. A quarterback that brought excitement.
It has brought hope for the future, is what you probably mean.
Yes.
I mean, for the years to come, because Blake Bortles had an up and down career. And, you know, you go back, his rookie season, he sucked. You go to a sophomore season, all of a sudden the guy throws 35 touchdowns in a season. He passed Dan Marino for sophomore record as far as touchdown passes. But then we go out, we get this guy, we get Nick Foles. He's coming off of a Super Bowl MVP. There wasn't a market for him. Jacksonville didn't have to pay him the money that they gave him to get him to come to Jacksonville. He would have took a lot less just to be there. But according to Tom Coughlin, who was in charge at that time, he wanted him to give him that type of money so that they would look at him in the locker room as a captain and as a team leader and as somebody who earned his checks because of who he is based off prior events. And they wanted the locker room to follow around that. So in that draft, we didn't have anybody to follow Nick Foles, so we get this Gardner Minshew, and he had a terrible preseason. Wasn't the greatest of looking quarterbacks, but at the same time, he had just came from Washington State, and he led the nation in passing yards. He won the Johnny Unitas Award that year for what he had done at Washington State, and he fell to us in the 6th round.
Now, with that man said, that I know he's going to be your starter, right?
He is. Now that the fact that we traded Nick Foles, we traded him for a 4th round pick. It's Chicago's problem now. After all they gave for Mitchell too risky, now Nick Foles is the other guy that's going to compete, quote unquote, for a starting job.
Now, with all that going on, do you think that Jacksonville is going to be a heavy contender this next season? Granted,
I think that depends on what we do in the draft. Because you got to remember, we got rid of the mayor of Saxonville. We traded Calais Campbell to Baltimore. We traded A.J. Boye to Denver. So we lost a lot of but we went out and we got Joe Schubert from Cleveland, who is a Paul Plesney Jr., which I know us Jacksonville people, we know who Paul Plesney is. But the rest of America, they aren't for sure. But I mean, hell, the guy averages like 100 tackles a season. I mean, he was a lifeblood for Cleveland when he was there. And for us to have a true solid middle linebacker again, now we don't have to experiment with Miles Jack and put him in at linebacker, defensive end. We can leave him at outside. We're good.
Now, there's been a lot of shakeups going on with the football world. One of the biggest ones is Tom Brady going to Tampa. What do you think about that one? I think it's kind of like, I guess.
I mean, Tampa has receivers though.
Yes,
I mean,
they are stacked.
You look at Chris Godwin, you look at Mike Evans.
Yeah.
That's OJ Howard.
Now,
that's all Tom Brady needs.
Now, do you think that's gonna? Because right now, Jameis Winston, right? He's the old quarterback.
Well, he was the old quarterback.
Was.
he's sitting at free agency right now.
Now, do you think that with Tom Brady being there, that it's going to take that team second round playoffs or to make the playoffs, or you going to think things going to be a couple of years?
Oh, I think they're a given. They're pretty much a shoo-in. Will they be the number 1 seed? Probably not. Will they? Well, now that we've expanded, because this year we'll get a 7th seed now, due to the new NFL playoff restructuring. We'll have 7 seeds instead of 6, so there'll be the extra team. Will they get in there? Yeah.
Now, another big thing that people are going to talk about. I know we talked about this. It was brought up the other day at your outdoor Margaritaville.
Yes.
Philip Rivers going to the Colts. Whoa.
Well, first off, the Colts aren't good.
I guess.
I guess. Oh, I hope he listens. You know what? They went out. They got Xavier Rhodes. They got DeForest Buckner on defense, and those are good. Those are good fill-ins. But at the same time, I think Phil's going to bring. There's a lot of problems in Indianapolis right now. One of them is going to be Jacoby Brissett. You traded a fairly decent draft pick to get him, and then he played good, but you still had Andrew Luck. Andrew Luck retires. He comes in. Week 10 of last year, he was leading the league in touchdowns. And then all of a sudden, you know what? Your defense, first off, everybody judges the Colts based off of what Peyton Manning does. Peyton Manning was a team that built to play ahead, and then, their defense was just meh. So if your defense allows 35 points, okay, because we can score 50. Jacoby Brissett wasn't like that. You need a defense.
That goes back to old saying, defense wins football games.
Defense wins championships.
Oh, yeah.
And you know what, Phil? I think Phil's going to be all right this year. And I think the Colts are going to be all right this year. But at the same time, I still think it's anybody but Houston's. Houston gave up dirt and a lottery ticket for DeAndre Hopkins and got rid of the best wide receiver in the league.
Now, with all these different changes going on, do you think that Baltimore is going to have a strong chance of winning this year?
Oh, I think Baltimore's probably got the strongest defense in the NFL right now.
Now, do you believe, you know how you got some teams that there's some teams out there that can go win back-to-back championships and some cannot. What do you think about, do you think our last year's champions can do that again back-to-back?
Well, you look at Kansas City. Kansas City kept everybody on offense, which they had one of the best offenses in the NFL, and it was a sight to see. I saw it firsthand at Jacksonville week 1 last year. I mean, hell, they already had 500 yards against us in the first half alone, and coming into that game, we were supposed to be the number 1 defense in the NFL. But when you look at free agency, they just restructured Sammy Watkins' contract. But when free agency started, they had $107. That was their cap space, $107. We had more cap space than what they had because we had more money. So what it comes down to is when it comes to cap space, we're going to take a commercial break.
we're back. And back to what we were talking about how this affected sports. I know we're being a little more biased towards NFL because that's what we generally watch all the time.
Well, hell, we were just talking about cap space. We weren't even talking about how the coronavirus affected anything.
Yeah. So
we get into a topic we're comfortable with, and we just go, man.
Exactly.
We just go.
So let's bring back that coronavirus, how it affected sports, pull it back down a little bit, and let's talk about a subject we don't talk about much, is about how it affected basketball. Basketball season been shut down.
Basketball, baseball, NASCAR, everybody, wrestling, it shut down everything.
Do you think that's a smart move, or was that just over exaggeration?
Well, I don't know. I guess you can consider me biased here, but I think that people who go to NASCAR events probably aren't as hygienic as those who go to a baseball event.
Watch where you tread on that.
I'm just saying. So, anywhere, like we've discussed, anywhere you go, people aren't going to wash their hands. People aren't going to wipe their ass.
Especially whenever you're out in the venue like that, you go in the bathroom, do that, and leave. Very few people do that.
Yeah. Well,
I understand what the whole view, what they're trying to do, but do I think it could have been escalated a little bit more differently? Possibly.
I think it could have been different. I mean, hell, if you look at it, when we first started the Big Ten tournament, which was up in Indianapolis, originally the first sessions, the two games that were on that day, we allowed fans in.
Right.
And then all of a sudden the next day, Michigan gets ready to play basketball, and they say, okay, well, none of the fans are allowed in, but we're just going to allow the players to come in. And then all of a sudden it turns around to, well, nope, players aren't going to play at all. Nobody's playing. We're shutting it down. Could we have probably let players play? Granted, I know a lot of NBA players tested positive for the COVID virus.
Like Kevin Durant, players from New Jersey Nets, which I'm not sure if it's I may fuzzy on that. I think he knew he had the coronavirus.
See, I don't know, because I'm not a huge. I don't follow NBA, so as far as that, I don't know. I know if you go flop over to the wrestling standpoint of it, Bobby Lashley had corona, tested positive for it, knew he had it, stayed at home, and then yet did his part and still made it back and did WrestleMania fully recovered.
So I feel like it sucks that this has shut down a lot of the entertainment, because I hear a lot of people say, man, I'm watching ESPN 360 or ESPN or these old YouTube videos of games.
Let me tell you, I was watching NFL Rewind today from 2010 when Jacksonville beat Indianapolis on a 59-yard field goal from Josh Scobie.
Whoa. Whoa. Shots fired.
It got my heart pumping a little bit. I remembered, I reminisced, and man, it felt good.
But then again, like I said, they talked about yesterday on our episode about how it brings people back together. Now you gotta do more. You gotta do other things to kind of like bring yourself back together with your family, because now, before, family or even your friends, you go watch a game. Now you can't do that now, so now you're spending more time at home making up games. I've seen someone make up a game where they take some paper, made the worm, you gotta blow it, and a big worm race. But stuff like that, or you can just watch YouTube videos. I was watching a little YouTube videos. I always have, but I watch these YouTube videos. This guy impersonating some players and how they play sports and stuff. But like I said, I think it does put a downer on things, because now it's kind of like,
It definitely does. And I mean, because
you think all this is going to affect fantasy football?
well, I guess that depends on the NFL.
Exactly. I mean, depends on the NFL. I mean, it's a lot of stuff. And I know there has been a lot of players that have also donated some of their paychecks to help employees of these stadiums to help take care of the family, which is very honorable.
Well, and a lot of the owners too. Yeah. And I know a lot of the owners of the NFL or some of these other organizations like baseball. Like, it may not just be the NFL's not in session, so they're not paying the concession stands, they're not paying these employees, but they're donating to the community to give money back as far as to get the proper PPE or whatever they may need, or just to help fund the coronavirus itself.
Do you think this could turn into a money gimmick as far as funding for research or wherever it is to try to help fight this coronavirus? You know, sometimes, we donate to such and such to help fight this and this and that. Is the money really going to where it needs to go?
Well, I mean, because we're kind of turning political here, so I could go a million ways with that. But yeah, there's always going to be questions.
Right. Because I like one of the YouTube people I follow on YouTube. He's real big in the sports and this and that, but he's what he does. He makes these like people are doing now, making these corona masks and stuff. But he sells them, but all the money that he makes is going towards families that are affected, are not working and this and that, which is good, you know, because he is doing his part. But as far as the sports world, yes, I do hope that this doesn't affect the NFL season.
Well, as of right now, Trump's already said NFL needs to start as scheduled.
That's good. I know I know as far as everything else right now, it's shut down and stuff. But as long as we at least get something kind of entertainment.
I'll tell you what, I need my Jaguars football. As much as a lot of people hate them and a lot of people think they suck and people just don't understand. I mean, hell, you look at the Kansas City Chiefs, their fan base was established in 2018. They're the new Seattle Seahawks. People don't know football. People don't understand football as a whole. Oh, bless you.
Oh, thank
bless
you.
you. Hold on, should I back up now?
Ha! Social distancing. Social distancing.
Hold on. I'm a little nervous for my life right now.
Allergies, son. Allergies.
But you know, fans a lot of fans, they don't follow football. They don't understand football. They just follow who's popular, who's good, who has this, who does that.
AKA bandwagoners?
Bandwagoners. I mean, the same Colts fans back when they won the Super Bowl are the same team or the same guys that rooted for Peyton Manning when he went to Denver and won the Super Bowl. I mean, shit. They are what they are.
You know, it's kind of funny now. You know, I'm not a Colts fan. I don't really like them anyway. But I asked some of these diehard Colts fans, and I asked them this question. I was like, so let me ask you a question. You're a diehard fan, right? Yeah, I'm a diehard fan. I know everything is about the Colts. I love the Colts. Yes, tried and true. Well, I was like, who's their kicker back in the Peyton Manning era before then? Oh, Vinatieri. I was like, what about Mike Vinatieri? I was like, do you know who Ken Dillinger is? Do you know who?
They forget that they forget that they had Marshall Faulk and Tony Saragusa on the same team.
I asked him, did you know who Dallas Clark was?
Oh, well, of course they know who Dallas Clark was.
Yeah.
They know Dallas Clark and Gary Brackett.
Yeah. You know who? I asked him, you know who? I know who Marvin Harrison is, right? I know who Reggie Wayne is.
What about Austin Collie? What about Lance Moorhead?
Hey, what about Jeff Saturday?
Well, he was an offensive line. He was the popular one.
All right.
But they don't know about Monte Rager. Dominique Rhodes, they vaguely remember after he won the Super Bowl and went to
Bob
Oakland.
Sanders.
Bob. Or Mike Doss.
Hey.
Marlon Jackson.
Hey.
I mean,
do you think this is... What do you think about college football?
I really don't know because, I mean, as a fan, you want it, but at the same time, because when Trump had that whole conversation, he didn't meet with the NCAA board because you're talking about student athletes, you're talking about a whole completely different can of worms. So, when it comes to college, you really can't. You want it, but at the same time, you want the fans. So, you know what I gotta say? When you bring me back for day 3, let's quit talking about Corona and let's just do what we do best.
We are back. We're gonna wrap up this Corona stuff in our closing arguments, closing views. Time for the 5-minute shotgun lockdown. Finish it out. Bam! Go.
My thing of it is, I remember leaving off with bandwagoners, but you know what? Bandwagoners, we love you because you still make the sport, even though you suck, you're stupid. We still like you. We still like you. You still.
Shots fired.
Just because you wore a Colts hat in 2005, but now you're wearing a Super Bowl champs Kansas City hat in 2020. We're good with that because you know what? You still feed. You still like. Oh yeah. Hold on. I don't want to raise my FICO score. We already we came from a commercial break. We don't want another. We don't want a FICO commercial while I'm talking. So let me tell you something, guys. You know what? It doesn't matter. If you rooted for one team last year and you rooted for another team this year, I still think you're stupid. And I'm still going to prejudge you based on that. But at the end of the day, we're all in this together. Because we're still talking about the coronavirus. And it affects our sports world. You still watch it. You still love it. You're still passionate about it. Regardless of if you flip-flop teams. So, at the end of the day, we're all in this together. Wipe your ass and wash your hands.
Whoa, we got kids in this.
Wipe your butts and wash your hands. Clean your house. Clean yourselves. And we'll be a better community for it.
Well, so there we have our spew and all this Corona stuff. And I hope you enjoy these episodes with our special guest.
Well, again, I thank you for having me. I appreciate it. It was fun.
No, I thank you for coming out your way to join in on this shindig. I mean, I know we don't do this stuff very often, but I'm glad you were able to make it.
Well, I'm glad you invited me back for a second time.
What? Can do this again.
Hey, maybe we can do it. You know what? I think I'm free tomorrow.
You are? All right. Well, so we're going to go ahead and just end this out. This series.
Yeah, Corona's done.
Corona's done.
Call us the Corona killer because we're done with this Corona.
Can you dig it?
Sucker!